The 49ers picked De'Zhaun Stribling, and some people freaked out about it. And then after the draft, we found out maybe he wasn't as low on people's draft boards as we originally thought. Let's dive into the film today. Look at the good, look at the bad, and you can decide for yourself on today's Gold Standard podcast presented by Prize Picks. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. That man is Johnny Dell from the Johnny Dell Football Academy YouTube channel. We are here on the Demonetization Station, the show where we look at the film and break down the good, bad, and the ugly and let you decide for yourself what the 49ers have. How are you on a first post-draft edition, Johnny?
I'm fired up. Like I've been watching film on these guys like mad since the draft. I was watching De'Zhaun Stribling's film during the draft. I was trying to I was sending Rob clips. I was texting him different clips I was seeing because I've gone back and watched over 20 of this guy's games. I've watched every single snap of his 2025. I watched at least half of his snaps at Oklahoma State when he was in 2024. I got a really good idea of who this kid is from the tape. And I will tell you, when you see the conversation going the way it's gone on social media, I am being driven nuts because there is very little of it that is actually based off of any film that the guy has. It is all based on this obscure consensus board that people do not understand how it was put together and why some of the things were put the way they were. And we have to remember, this was a deep wide receiver class. And so what separates De'Zhaun Stribling is what we're going to see and why the 49ers look at him. The challenge, the consensus rankings are usually who is the best player right now, not who will be the best player in 3 years or 2 years or even 1 year. It's who is the best player now. And De'Zhaun Stribling, I think, has one of the highest ceilings of any wide receiver in this class. And he's going to, if somebody comes away from this episode not really excited about this pick, either I have failed my job or they made up their mind before looking at a single clip.
And we're not just going to show the good. We're going to show things to work on too. You know, that's one thing we try to do on this channel, but we'll show you and you can decide for yourself. That is what we like to do. I agree with you. I think that especially because Omar Cooper Jr. was on the board and the 49ers didn't take him, that was like, wait, you're taking a wide receiver and you're not taking the guy that I heard of a bunch and that I got to see win the national championship and that everybody says could be, the next Deebo Samuel. And I think he was sort of starting from behind the 8 ball, but that's okay. That's why we are here. We will show you. You can decide for yourself. I actually spoke with Harry Harrison, who is the radio analyst for Ole Miss. He's been there for 25 years. And he was telling me that basically as the season went along, Stribling got better and better and better. And down the stretch and in the playoffs, he was their go-to guy.
100%. And the last clip I'm going to show today, or the last clip of one of the last sections, I got 6 different categories of clips that we're going to look at. And each one has 1 to 2 packages, right? I got something like 40 or 45 clips to show. We'll get into this. They aren't going to be all deep dives, but I mean, you'll just see and fall in love with this kid. The very last play of the season, Ole Miss against Miami, they were going Hail Mary because it was down to the end. They had gone up and then Miami came back, scored with like 18 seconds left in the game. They needed a Hail Mary. Who did they throw to? It was De'Zhaun Stribling. And it was a very, very questionable non-call. That's who they went to in the moment that they needed to get them to the national championship game. So we had like, when he says that, he's not joking. He was their go-to receiver as it went down the field. But after watching all of this film, I sent Rob the scouting report because I was like, I'm just getting excited about this kid, and I had to write up something. So Rob's seen this. You may have been surprised by the length of it, but I said 6'2", 207 pounds. To sum him up, dynamic playmaker. If you wanted to sum it up into just a quick phrase, dynamic playmaker. Large, strong frame, big, strong hands, explosive home run speed paired with quick feet and a pit bull mindset. The blend of size, speed, and hands and vertical paired with a fearlessness running over the middle, make him one of the highest ceiling prospects in this class. Can run away from anyone, and his speed terrified opposing defenses. Teams very often either had corners playing with a massive cushion or a safety over the top. When they wouldn't, he could make them pay downfield. Against press, he could put corners out of phase and into panic mode in a hurry. His quick climb up the stem often made underneath help impossible outside and would stress any defenses that didn't widen their alignment. We'll see that a couple times. His run after the catch by both speed and strong style punished defenses who allowed isolated matchups on corners. Was the best blocking wide receiver in the class, and it wasn't close. Routinely put guys on the ground to block corners, safeties, linebackers, and defensive ends. Versatile enough to be put anywhere on the field. Has a high floor as his yak and blocking ability immediately make him a viable receiver. His ceiling will be determined by how quickly he develops as a route runner. Raw isn't necessarily the right term, but underdeveloped. Ole Miss's heavy RPOs and read option offense created a very condensed route tree that featured very little timing-based concepts. Being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there will be a big change from his offense in Oxford. He'll need to learn a wide route tree, diversify his release package, and sink his hips and accelerate out of breaks to realize his full potential. Sky is the limit for this kid. He's not as polished as guys like Omar Cooper or Denzel Boston, but he's got a higher ceiling, and that's the important part with him.
All right. Well, you've sold me. Let's dive into it. Let's go. De'Zhaun Stribling, the good, the bad, the ugly. I assume we're starting with the good because why not?
Yeah. Honestly, there was not a lot of bad. Like this was generally a whole lot of good. And first thing we're going to look at is this going to be a montage of blocking from De'Zhaun Stribling, because when I say he's the best blocking wide receiver in this class, I'm not joking. It's not hyperbole. Here he is coming on a linebacker on a crack block to get his guy outside. The one thing you could always see on him is you could find him by that big long white sock on his right leg. That's how I found him in the tape after you watch him a bunch of times. But you're going to see him get on this guy right here, this second level linebacker that's down here. He's going to try and get to the play and watch how he blocks and then finishes the block. I love it. Okay, it's going to get better. Here he is in the slot. You can say, okay, we're going to put him in motion and he's going to come out here and block on a wide receiver screen. We haven't been able to do things like this. He takes the corner out of the play. Now imagine this putting Christian Kirk into a wide receiver screen, and you got that guy blocking for him. Or you get Ricky Pearsall on a wide receiver screen, and you get that guy blocking for him. Here, let's see, where is he at? I gotta find him real quick. Oh yeah, he's right here. They put him in the backfield. That's why I couldn't find him. He's in the backfield, so you can line him up all over the place. He's going to come out as a lead blocker. This is against Georgia. He gets the safety, takes him out of the play. So here he is in the backfield. This starts to remind you of some things that Shanahan did with Deebo Samuel, right? You put this kid in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey, and now you got some interesting things happening. Okay, we're going to see him up at the top. This is against Oklahoma, or this is when he was at Oklahoma State. He's been a good blocker for a long time.
Ooh, pancake,
and then buries the guy to make sure he knows we're going to get you out there. They're going to run another wide receiver screen. Look at him get up to the second level and then block and get his guy to the sideline. You can block guys out. It's going to get even better here against LSU up at the top. Watch this block. Put the guy on the dirt and the point. I love it. Here you're going to bring him in motion. He's going to come and block on the second level. Okay, this is when you start seeing the dog in him start showing up against the Bulldogs. Okay, puts the guy on the ground and then gives him another shove to get him on the ground. Here at the top, you're going to see him come out and block up here. They're going to run another wide receiver screen out here. Look at him take this guy to the sideline and bury him on the sideline. I think I got this one from the end zone too. Yeah.
It's reminiscent of another 49ers wide receiver blocking somebody into the Gatorade way back when.
Yep. Your tight end who blocks guys to the ground. Like this starts looking like a 49er. When you say culture fit, that's what you're talking about. Here he is at the top. Watch what he does to this corner. You're going to come up here. Oh, nope. Sorry. My bad. That was the other one. It was another clip against Mississippi State. He's at the bottom. Okay. He's got to convert to blocking. blocks his man to the sideline, springs his guy for a touchdown. He's going to go block up there. This is the clip I was thinking about because here he is at the top.
Bam. That's awesome.
Love it. Here he is coming in motion. He's going to block out here on the edge. Take the guy, put him into the sideline. All right, now we got him here in the slot. He's going to block again. This time he's going to take a guy and take him to the sideline. Block him all the way from around the hash marks to the sideline. Here he is up at the top. Drive his guy into the end zone. 7 yards into the end zone. Here he is. Here he's going to get a crack block on a linebacker. Watch this. Get him. Put your dude on the ground. Here he is at the top. This is not the same clip against LSU, but it looks identical.
Point again.
Puts his guy on the ground and the point. Here he is coming in as a U-back, like a U-check type of role. He's going to come over here and kick this guy out on the end. Watch the finish on this play. Who does this remind you of? Okay, watch this. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Bury your guy.
Oh, George is going to love that.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you say culture fit receiver that can block, this guy was the best blocking receiver and it wasn't close. And now I get it. You don't spend the number 2 overall pick on a receiver. Here he is down at the bottom on a receiver
It's just
that just for his blocking ability. I believe he's here at the top. Somehow I got a pass rep in here. So, because I was just going to do blocking ability first. I get it. I know people are saying, you don't pick a guy at 33 for just his blocking ability. I'm saying this is when we talk about culture fit with a team, when he fits what you do, when the 49ers could not get any sort of blocking from their wide receivers last year, and Christian McCaffrey averaged 3.7 yards per carry, the lowest of his career. And I was watching the worst wide receiver blocking that I'd ever seen under a Shanahan regime. Yes, this stuff does have a big impact. Now, like Shanahan said, that is the bonus, the cherry on the top that helps kind of move him farther. But it's his abilities as a receiver, because this is a hands catcher. This is a guy who doesn't catch with his body. He's snatching everything out of the air, and he is a dynamic threat. And we're going to look at a little bit more of that.
Well, if they're as good as the blocking highlights, you're going to have me really excited because, Chris Sims talks about this a lot too. What you're being asked to do in college by your team says a lot about your skills and what you have. And the fact that they were using him as a blocker, not only on the outside as a receiver, but also going in motion, also lining up in that kind of use check H-back type of role and asking him to block people tells you that this man is a monster.
100%. And like you said, how a college team utilizes their talent tells you what they think of them. And so that does become important in here. So on top of his ability to block, this guy is a dynamic playmaker. And so what are some of these traits that I really like? He's absolutely fearless over the middle, and he's a really strong hands catcher. He doesn't catch with his body. He goes and plucks the ball out of the air, big, strong hands, fearless over the middle. You're going to see him here on a deep in route. He has no fear running these routes as over the middle. He knows this is one of those, the ball is not a good throw, but he knows this guy is sitting here and he's got to go in here and make this catch. And there's no fear. He gets out there, full extension, exposing of the body, knowing this guy could light him up. And he makes the catch, goes and plucks it out of the air. You'll see it from, and that's a kid that we looked at, VJ Payne. He's a big safety. He was 210 pounds. He was the last pick in the draft this year, is where he ended up going. But you got a big-bodied safety sitting out there, could light you up, and you're going to still reach up there. Now, I will say, I remember back from when we watched Nick Martin last year, how out of focus their cameras were. They were still, when I had to pull some of their 2024 tape, their cameras were out of focus, and it was driving me nuts. But here, you're going to see him as the X receiver here. He's going to run a post. And again, this is not a great ball placement. He's going into a safety that's sitting here, and this ball will not be where he expects it to be. Watch how he adjusts and still snatches that. Big, strong hands. Really like it. He's the slot up to the top. I believe he's here. You see that little black sleeve on his left leg. That was one tell on him. He still had it there. He's going to be running a crossing route. Okay. This is, again, it's not a great decision by his quarterback because this safety is going to be sitting on the other side of the field ready to light him up. Watch how he makes hands catch and absorbs the hit. This kid is fearless over the middle. He's going to run a little curl route. This is going to be in traffic. Watch how he works back to the ball, snatches it with his hands, isn't afraid of a hit, and he works vertical with the ball. He gets it, great contact balance, and gets some more yards. He doesn't, you don't see this kid shying away from hits at all. Let's see, he's going to, you're going to see him run a curl route. Again, this is going to be in traffic. Doesn't hesitate and gets vertical, moves, leans forward, takes on the contact. He's there. He's to the top. You're going to see him. He's going to run a dig. And again, no fear on this. Gets in here, snatches the ball with his hands. Snatch it, come back to the ball. I love it. Snatch it with your hands. You know you're going to get hit, and absorbs it and keeps getting yards here. He's going to run a deep curl. Again, watch the snatching with the hands. This is a hands catcher. He's got big, strong hands, works back to the ball, snatch it with your hands, and then he's going to go fight for more yards. I love it. Those are traits that I like to see from a receiver, because you don't get those body catchers that they get hit and the ball pops up in the air. They snatch it with their hands. They aren't afraid to come over the middle. This one is a really important play because when I was watching this tape, I didn't include this clip, but this is against Wazoo. He got lit up by a hospital ball in the end zone earlier in this game, to where he was out for 2 series because his quarterback, Chambliss, just laid him out to dry in the back of the end zone, and he got absolutely lit up. The other thing is, notice how the defense is keeping 2 guys over here because they don't want him to run a curl, and so they're trying to take that away, and also their corner with a massive cushion. So he's going to run a dig route on this, and again, this is when he knows he's probably going to get lit up, and he had already been hit by a hospital ball earlier in the game. This is what I mean when I say fearlessness over the middle. He knows he's going into traffic, and there's no fear in there. He gets in there, gets the catch on 3rd and 16 when they needed him in this game. Those kinds of moments and the tale of the context of the game makes a big difference in things because you see that this is a guy who has no fear when his team needs him.
You know, Kyle Shanahan is eating that up. It's the number one thing he always used to talk about with his quarterbacks is, can you stand in there and deliver the ball and take a hit? It's a quality in football players that he really admires. And Jauan Jennings took a lot of those big hits too. And that's something the 49ers are going to need. And so far it looks like they got that in Stribling.
Yeah, here he's going to run another crossing route. Same like we saw earlier. The safety is going to be sitting on the backside, ready to light him up. Here he comes. Here comes a hit. Absorbs the hit and goes and gets more yards. Come on. We'll see it from the end zone. This is exactly what we saw, like from his 2024 tape. Do you see it again on the 2025 tape? You go, man, this is a kid that has no fear running over the middle. That was one thing that made Debo such a valuable receiver in this offense, is that he was going to run those. Jimmy had thrown some hospital balls, but you know what? He'd still go over the middle with fearlessness, and that's what gave him those 75-yard touchdowns, right? Where he just would keep running, keep going fearless through the middle, and he was going to end up getting those explosive throw balls. So here again, another post route. This is an off-target throw. Watch the ability to snatch the ball out of the air with your hands. Oh, love it. I mean, again, full extension over the middle. It's one thing when guys do this way outside. It's another thing when you're coming over the middle and you know you could get lit up by a safety. And then here, this is where the blend of this happens. This is where now you put this together in the vision of a 49ers offense. He's going to run a dig on this. And here's that mix of hands catching, fearlessness over the middle, and then the explosiveness to run away. So this is all of those other traits now. Here's coalescing into what he can do for the 49ers. Hands catch, get the ball, get vertical, and run away from everybody. This is the vision for him in the 49ers offense, is that you put those traits together with what Kyle Shanahan does and what we like to do, and what Brock can do, and you start seeing plays like this will pop out on the field, and why I get real excited. This is against Florida. This is not against the, as my co-host on my show always says, it's not against the Corpus Christi Nuns. Like, this is a good team.
And that is something that the Niners have sorely missed. I remember multiple times with 49ers receivers where Kyle Shanahan would get somebody wide open. They'd be over the middle of the field. They'd catch the ball in space. And I remember thinking, yeah, if that guy was faster, that's a touchdown. And they just never were. And Stribling, certainly that is not his problem. If he can turn some of those, 20, 30-yard plays into 40, 50, 60-yard plays, it's going to have a massive, massive ripple effect for this team.
And that's a great segue into our next section of plays, his yak ability, the ability to make yards after the catch. Okay, so he's to the bottom here. He's running with what Kyle would call more of a jerk-off route. So he's going to sit here. He's going to sit down over the middle and run. I didn't name it. I did not name it. Okay, I know how it sounds. But he's here at the bottom, and he's going to sit down over the middle, and then he's going to go ball over him, and then watch this.
Goodbye. So much for your angle.
Okay, this kid hit the second fastest time that any ball carrier in college over like the last 6 years has hit. Like that, like it was 23 something miles an hour is what he hit. And I may have been on this play. But we're talking, this kid has the best long speed, some of the best 40 speed. Like his top end in gear is just wild. And this is where things change. I mean, you can see 36 is on his horse. He's trying to get there. Not a chance. This is a home run hitter. You're going to see here. This is a good example. I'm going to talk about this later. One knock on him. He doesn't sink his hips in his route and on his brakes a lot. It's not from inability. I've seen people have been trying to argue with me that, well, he just has stiff hips. He just has stiff hips. No, his broad jump testing tells us otherwise. His broad jump was one of the highest broad jumps of wide receivers, and relative athletic score for his size was elite category. That means he's got really fluid hips. So that tells you that the ability to sink his hips is not a physical deficiency. It's a technique deficiency. So that's why I say he has a higher ceiling than these guys. So we're going to see a dig here. He does sink his hips well on this one, and you see a nice cut in. And then here's the ability to catch it and then go make yards after the catch and run. And it takes multiple people to get you on the ground. Here you're going to see that he gets a nice slant. They're going to hit him on a slant route. And again, it like this dude does not go down easily. It takes multiple people to get him on the ground. Like that is a crowd, and he's still not on the ground. He's telling them all about it too. I love it. I love that kind of mentality. Here he is up at the top. He's going to sit down on a dig. They're going to sit this down over the middle and just watch what he does with the ball in his hands. Well, stiff arm.
Ooh. I like the way he knew he was fast and he ran backwards to give himself a little space because he knew he was fast enough to get around the edge, even giving up a little bit of ground.
Yeah, I mean, this kid, he had a very abridged route train. You're going to see there's a lot of curls in here. These were RPOs. And so, but I mean, you look at the tough running ability. This is against Georgia. It takes 3 guys to get him on the ground. You're going to see him over here. Understand where the first down marker is. Okay, they're going to do the same thing. I saw this play 800 times from them. And you can see what Georgia is trying to do, how much they fear this. They're going to send this guy out, a 3-man rush, trying to get this guy deep underneath the curl to try and help out. Still falling forward, gets the first down. Like the yards after contact are there. Love it from this kid. We got more on the way. They're getting this was just the opening salvo. Okay. So now against Georgia, we saw him run 2 curls, get the yak ability. So now this corner's in a big cushion. What's he going to do? He says, I got to meet this guy with more intensity because this guy just got first downs on me. So he tries to get in here, and now you slip him and watch him run away. That corner was drafted I can't remember exactly what round, but he runs a 4.38. That is a 4.38 corner, and he just ran away from this kid. The safety's got an angle on him, and he outruns the angle of the safety. This is not a small team. This team was ranked 3rd in the nation, Georgia. They don't have a chance to catch him.
That is exciting. That is so exciting. That kind of blazing speed. Look, we were promised it, with Danny Gray. We thought maybe they had it with Watkins or Cowing. This seems to be on a completely other level. And it is something that Kyle Shanahan himself said they definitely needed to improve this offseason.
What did we say after the Seahawks game, right? That the 49ers needed? They had no explosive receivers. We're talking about one of the most explosive receivers in this class. He's going to run a sail route on this. This ball gets tipped. Watch the focus to catch this ball. The hands. And then the ability to run. Watch him deliver this. Oh, the punishment to the corner at the end of this play is, I love that every time he would make an explosive play, he just jogged back to the middle of the field, gave the ball back to the ref like it was just another day at the office.
Except on his blocking, he's out there pointing at people. That's interesting. Yeah. The receiving part, he's just like ho-hum. The blocking, he gets juiced up for. Bam. Flattening people.
All right, here he is at the bottom. He's going to run a deep curl route. Again, watch how he doesn't go down. When you see them say he's a big, strong receiver, this is what you're talking about. Like, dude does not go down easy. They're like, this is one of those guys that a team is going to say, we have to keep more than one guy to know where he is, because if he breaks one tackle, and he can, it's over. He's gone. He's to the top. You're going to, this is another curl route. Tough yards. Doesn't go down easily. He's a big, strong kid. Get it. Breaks the one guy, gets through. 3 guys in there. Here you're going to have a little branch route. This is 2nd down. Here's the important thing. You can dump this off. He's short of the 1st down. Still gets a 1st down. Corner met him. Can't keep him down. Here he is at the top. He's going to run another curl. This looks like what he did against Georgia, right? So here he is, gets the curl, slips that guy, and now you're off to the races. Runs out, nearly breaks this one off. I mean, just explosive ability. We got more. Okay. Here he is at the bottom. He's going to run a shallow crossing route. This should be a 2-yard gain, because you're going to have a defender with an angle on him. Okay, this guy's got an angle on this. This should be a 2-yard gain. It's 3rd down. The way he turns his corner is just wild. Like, this was a play. I know it seems simple, but when I watched this, I was like, that should have been a 2-yard gain, and they should be punting. Instead, he was able to outrun that guy, turn the corner, tightrope the sideline, and get a 1st down. Like, that shows you how quick his feet is. And that's one of the questions about route running. Do you have the feet to be a route runner on this? And you see these quick feet to turn, get there, tightrope it, and get the 1st down, man. All right, now he's at the bottom. He's playing the Z here, so he can play XZ slot in the backfield. He's going to, again, run a curl route here. Just watch this play.
Ooh, stiff arm. Oh, flattens another guy.
Here he is. He's to the bottom, another curl route. Again, he ran like 800 of these. And just, you could get the ball in his hands, and there he goes. Turns it vertical. Turns that, slips the tackle. Here he is inside. They're going to run a stick route on this. Okay. This is that fearlessness over the middle, that ability to catch, get vertical. He's got a great spatial awareness to understand where guys are, that he doesn't go down easily, gets it, goes through, and you get a touchdown, because you can turn that short 5-yard out into a 15, 20-yard touchdown, right? This is a 13-yard touchdown pass. Like, when you see these clips and people say, well, they reach. I go, are you telling me that Jacksonville isn't going to look at that Liam Cohen didn't look at this guy and say, my goodness, what could he do in our offense? Like I can't believe that they wouldn't, or Indianapolis wouldn't, or some of these teams didn't look at him and say, what could he do in our offense? This is really exciting. Here he's going to see him. I had to scroll down for my notes here. I think he runs a little curl route here again. Yep, that full extension, stiff arm, go get more yards. So many things to like about this kid. I mean, we're not showing one clip. I'm not showing two clips. I'm like, we're looking at, these are clips after clips after clips of a big, strong receiver who's got a lot of really, really nice traits that I'm excited about.
Do you think that they ran so many hitches and curls just because they wanted to get the ball in his hands as fast as possible and just let him go to work?
It was a function of their offense. They ran so many RPOs, so many quick hitches, so many play actions, like in so many read options. They only had like 12 passing plays. I'm serious. Like, it became really tedious watching Ole Miss's offense because there just were not a lot of plays. Chambliss is a good athlete. Like, he was considered one of the big snubs of the combine because he wasn't invited to the combine, and he would take off and run and gain 40 yards. They wanted to the athleticism of Chambliss as a quarterback, that was a focal point of their offense, and all of these RPOs and all that stuff with it. So it was just a very condensed, simplified route tree, and that was more because of Ole Miss. I saw the same thing with Jordan Watkins the year before. We watched his tape, and it was the same thing. There was like 4 routes that he ran. That's just an Ole Miss offense, and so it's going to be a challenge for him to learn a 49ers offense. But what helps him is that, with some guys, it's like, you got to learn the entire route tree to get on the field because of some of the things we may not trust you in. But this kid, you say, I don't need you to run the entire route tree. I need you to run about 20 routes because I can put you on the field and they won't know if it's a pass or a run. And so we can get you play action. We can get you as running a dig route in behind with Mike Evans clearing it out, or Christian Kirk clearing it out, or Ricky Pearsall clearing it out. We can get you in space. We don't need you to be this guy who's going to win press man coverage on like a Skinner route. We don't need you to be that guy. That's what we got Ricky for. That's what we got Mike Evans for. That's what we got Christian McCaffrey for. It's what we got George Kittle for. We can get you the ball this first year, and you can do these sorts of things. And now you see the vision.
Do you think that they think he could eventually become a number 1 wide receiver?
Absolutely. I absolutely think they do, because he's got the traits of feet quickness and fluid hips that give you the ability to develop into that. And we'll talk about that when we get to the last bit on this. I've got some teach tape from Brandon Ayuk, and then him running the same route, and we can see where he needs to grow. He needs to diversify his release package and sink his hips. Those are the 2 biggest things, and then learn an NFL route tree. But here's again where you say, okay, where's a role for him on this team? Well, you're going to put a Mike Evans out. You're going to put a Ricky Pearsall out here. You're going to run Ricky out, and you're going to take De'Zhaun and you're going to run him on a through route. This is something the 49ers love to do. This is when he was at Oklahoma State, and you can run him on these, and ain't nobody running with this kid across the field. And you can get him a touchdown that way. You can do this where you say, we're going to run a little interference here, where your guy in press man's got to work through this interference, and we're going to run you on a slant route. How many times we see Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel score touchdowns on plays just like this? This is where you say, okay, now we're going to do this, and nobody is stopping you, because he's a big, strong receiver who catches it with his hands. He's fearless over the middle. So you can do plays like that, and there's no concerns there. You like how he has awareness on some scramble drills. This is where it comes in with Brock Purdy, buying time, getting out there. He's going to work to space, get in somewhere, and then catch the ball with his hands, and you get a touchdown. That's where you see the Brock Purdy stuff. Now you can say, okay, we can give you on a wide receiver screen out here. We're going to block for you. Just get the ball in your hands and let you go do what you do. You're a big, strong guy who's going to get more yards than are blocked for. You can do that with him. You can say, okay, we're going to put you in the backfield, and we're going to run a play action fake and run you across the field this way. The 49ers do this all the time. This is 49ers stuff, right? You can do this stuff with him, and now you get a dynamic speed guy who you get out here. You get it. He beats the edge, and you can get big yards with him. You can do that kind of stuff with him in the red zone. You can do the stuff that we're seeing. Like, there is a clear role early for him I think people have said, well, he's our fourth wide receiver. I don't see it necessarily that way. I see it as he's going to have a clear role for significant snaps this season. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't think it's going to work quite that way. I think you're going to see, a lot of things that work well, but there is a clear role for this kid on this team. And the last main positive thing here, this kid was a dynamic go ball uh, receiver. I got to make sure I have the right clip here because I think I have actually 2 of these ready to go.
If he does the type of things that you're showing here, if he's doing those in practice, Kyle's going to find a role for him, whether he's fourth on the depth chart or not. He'll find plays and situations to put him in because he's not just going to keep that kind of ability just watching the game from the sideline.
Yeah. And I think I even lost one of the clips I was going to. No, here it is. Okay. It didn't show up like it was. This kid, no, that wasn't the right one. I did. I'm missing one of these. We've got so much film. If you're not sold at this point, I don't know what to tell you. You can put him out here in the red zone, go ball, big, strong kid, can go do it. This is, here he is at the bottom, go ball. This reminds you of Purdy to Brandon Ayuk against the Steelers. He threw the same exact go ball. Again, I like how he high points the ball. He snatches it with his hands. Big, strong hands, big, strong kid. And I'm missing like 6 go balls that he just put guys out of phase, that he was going down the sideline. These are the ones that people love to see. Gets his corner out of phase and panicking. He can do the back shoulder, adjust to the ball. This is not a great accurate throw. He still, again, high points the ball, adjusts to it. Here he is down at the bottom.
Look at
this
that.
Is the last play against. Yeah, well, I think this is the last play of the game against Miami. Yeah, I was just showing this is the play they went to him. This is a very questionable non-call. Really irritated that I could have swore I got that other package of go balls in here because there's like he was doing it against Georgia, he was doing it against Florida, like some really great ones. He won the game against Georgia as running a Spartan fade. I had on there. But I mean, you can see here, this is a very questionable non-call. They were going after him. But
you can tell by the way he kind of snatches the ball after he gets his hands on it. He kind of like pulls it away. Just to me, it comes across as a guy that's in total control, a really natural receiver. Doesn't look like much of an effort for him to go up and get the ball. There is a lot to like there. I am excited.
Yeah. And again, I'm missing like 6 other clips of him getting go balls down the field. Like, okay, now what are some things he needs to work on? Okay. So here's a great example. So this is Brandon Ayuk 2023 against the Vikings. He's going to run a tree route here. So it's a 10-yard out route. What I want you to pay attention to is how he sinks his hips, sticks his foot in the ground, and gets lateral on this route. Ability, this is what made Brandon Ayuk so special. Stick your foot in the ground and get lateral. Corner has no chance. So now we have De'Zhaun Stribling, and he's going to run the same route. This one, he doesn't sink his hips as much. He rounds it off a little bit more, and then he has to try and come back to the ball. This is where he's got to work on sink those hips. Make these cuts a little bit sharper. It's not the same explosiveness because those hips didn't sink in the same way as we saw Brandon Ayuk. Now, again, people hammered me because they're like, well, show Brandon Ayuk at ASU. I'm like, I don't got film on Brandon Ayuk from 7 years ago. And it's like, no, it's teach tape. Like, that's the point, is that this is what it should look like. I'm not saying this is a deficiency that I'm upset that they drafted him, saying this means this is what his ceiling is. This is where he needs to develop his track record. Watch these things when you're watching the games. Does he start to sink his hips in there? Then you say, okay, now you really have a chance to meet your potential of where you can go. And then you're going to see he's down here at the bottom. So this is where he needs to diversify his release package. This, he kind of gives the shake and bake and tries to run past this guy. Sometimes you saw this and it was like, okay, it wasn't diversified enough, didn't fool the corner, didn't get him to flip his hips, and it's a really tight coverage and you never really threaten the guy. That needs to change up. NFL corners are going to going to challenge him on that stuff. You got to diversify that release package to create more separation. Here's an example, and why, again, I think that the ceiling is high, is he's shown the ability to do this at times. It's going to be about up to coaching and him to bring this out every time. He's going to work this corner, push him outside, and then create a lot of separation on a slant. This is an example of where he can do it well, and now you've created huge separation, and here's where that all those things tie in. So when you put together all the pieces of what he can be paired with what he has, this is a prospect to be really excited about. Like, this kid could become huge for this team.
It's funny, you know, I feel like if you had shown that to 49ers fans leading up to the draft, they would have been way more excited when they heard his name called from the podium. I got to be honest, I didn't even know he was in the draft class until they announced his name. Like, I had never heard anybody talk about him. Then people are like, well, who is this guy? De'Zhaun? Like, they didn't know how to say his name. And I just think there was an overwhelming negative reaction. Although I will say it does seem like after he was picked, a lot of people in the NFL said, hey, this guy was rising up draft boards a lot, and there was more interest in him than, you know, people maybe not behind the scenes knew about.
Yeah. And it seemed like that it was one of those, like, because, and this happens every year. There's going to be guys that somebody picks a guy and everybody scratches their head, but then afterwards people go, well, actually, you know, this guy was in NFL circles was rising more than people would think. And you know, as we everybody dove into the class, I think one thing that kind of didn't draw as much attention is this was an unusually large, and by large I mean physical stature large, wide receiver class. You had a lot of 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" receivers. And so I think he got a little lost in that X receiver conversation, because he wasn't Denzel Boston at 6'4". He wasn't Malachi Fields at 6'4". He wasn't Jacoby Lane at 6'4". He wasn't Ted Hurst at 6'4". He wasn't Chris Brazel at 6'4". Like, you had a lot of these guys that were that kind of height, and it was a deep wide receiver class. And so in there, I think he got seen as maybe an in-between an X and a Z. And so that part of the conversation got lost. And he didn't run a really diverse route tree. And so those things, you kind of get lost in the blinding lights of everything else.
And I like the fact too that his father is a Marine. I feel like that he's going to be the right kind of work ethic and culture guy in the locker room. That's something the Niners talked about, how much they liked it. There's one more question about De'Zhaun Stribling that I want to ask you, but before we get to that, I just want to remind everybody we are presented by Prize Picks. If you haven't gone to check them out yet, please do. They are America's #1 sports pick app for daily fantasy player projections and lineups. It's simple. You just pick more or less on your favorite players' projections, and you build your lineup in just a few taps. I know you're familiar with it. They have features that you are going to love. Early payouts. If you hit more in the first or second quarter, you can cash it out before the game even ends. If your player gets injured in the first or second quarter, that pick is protected. Can't get much better than that. Plus, you can follow your friends as well. You can follow me. I'm on there at Stats on Fire. Copy lineups if you like them. Use them as inspiration. You can even follow, like I said, the Prize Picks partners like me. I'm on Stats on Fire on all the socials, by the way, not just this. Feel free to follow me everywhere. But I promise you, if you go and check it out, NBA, Major League Baseball, the Stanley Cup playoffs are going on. Whatever you like, there's something for you on Prize Picks. You can even go outside the world of sports as well. Movies, politics, if that's your thing. If it's not, I understand. Whatever. There's something there for you. I promise you. Make sure to check if Prize Picks is available in your state and use our offer. You see it on the screen. Just download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now, Johnny, some people have suggested, and by some I mean Chris Sims, that it's possible Stribling challenges Ricky Pearsall for wide receiver 2. Do you think that's possible?
I think anything's possible. I mean, I think what the 49ers generally do, okay, you have like a general framework. Mike Evans is going to be your X receiver. Ricky's your Z. Christian Kirk's your slot. Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins are kind of moving around in there. Demarcus Robinson's the vet that you're going to, have play multiple roles. So people said De'Zhaun Stribling, where does he fit in there? And I had this argument with people on my channel leading up to the draft, because on our show, I've been very vocal that I thought the first pick the 49ers were going to make was wide receiver. I was absolutely convinced of it.
Mm-hmm.
And people would say, but where do they play? Where do they play? I'm like, look, if you're not picking a kid like this because you got Demarcus Robinson, your process is wrong. If you're not picking this kid because you got Jacob Cowing, who spent all last year on IR, your process is wrong. If you're picking this kid, not picking this kid because you got Jordan Watkins and you might have something there, your process is wrong. If you're picking this kid because you think you got Ricky Pearsall, well, he hasn't been on the field enough. Your process is wrong. This kid will have a role. I don't know exactly what that role is going to be. And as far as snaps, is he wide receiver 2? Is he wide receiver 3? Who gets most snaps? Look, Mike Evans, the last full year he was healthy, I think he got 71% of the snaps. I don't expect him to get 71% of the snaps this year. I expect him to get 60 to 65% of the snaps. They're going to get this kid on the field. They're going to give him snaps at X. I think they're going to give him snaps at Z. I think they're going to give him snaps at F or U, whatever you want to call the slot. They're going to give him snaps in the backfield. They will find a play. I think they're going to move this kid all over the field and find a way to get the ball in his hands. And then as a receiver, let him do some of the things he does really well. And so, does he push Ricky Pearsall? I think they like healthy competition. They drafted Trey Lance and kept Jimmy G. So like they're not afraid of that kind of thing. They're very much into, you guys are getting paid a lot of money to play a game. And so if we can't put two dogs in the same room and see who comes out, then you weren't, and you shy away from that, then you're not meant to be in the NFL. And so, is there some of that? Sure. Is there, might it be that's their wide receiver tandem going forward? Absolutely 100%. I can see it that way. I think they got a really good football player who's a dynamic playmaker, that they're going to find a way to get this kid on the field and see him play. And people will say, well, will I actually play this year? Look, Dante Pettis had got a lot of snaps as a second-round draft pick. Deebo Samuels got 800 yards as a second-round draft pick. Brandon Ayuk had over 750 yards his rookie year as a rookie, as a first-round draft pick. De'Zhaun Stribling is getting on the field. Like when a receiver's picked in the first 2 rounds, that means Kyle Shanahan believed in them. Like it wasn't a position coach that sold them on the guy. They will play.
And we're going to see him on the field in 8 days when rookie minicamp happens, I believe next Friday and Saturday. So hopefully we get, just a little taste, a little tease. I'm here for it. We'll see him on the field. Obviously, we have plenty more rookies to break down. Somebody asked earlier in the chat, Rob and Johnny, can you do this type of show where for each Niner pick and each undrafted free agent, we have some time between now and meaningful camp reporting? We will get to as many as we can. With this team, sometimes stuff pops up and we have to rearrange our plans. But we are going to get to as many as possible, especially the 2 next ones I think are even more fascinating than Stribling, to be honest with you. Romello Height and Kalen Black. Poor Kalen Black, man. He has just been a punching bag for people. Do you want to do that one next? Do you want to do that one next week?
Let's do it. Let's do it next week because, and we talked, people don't know, Brow and I were talking about this before the show. I'm fired up over the Kalen Black pick because I think there's a huge misunderstanding about what was happening there. And I guess just to set that up, so I was at the Senior Bowl and we did a show from the Senior Bowl where I checked in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a media day where everybody goes to the Mobile Convention Center and you meet the prospects. Now, the Mobile Convention Center is where they also, every team has their setups. They have rooms set up there. They do player interviews. They do official interviews. They do unofficial interviews. Kalen Black had an official interview with the 49ers at the Senior Bowl. But when you go there, the teams, their personnel do not stay. There's a Hilton that's attached. There's a walkway that goes across the street to a Hilton. That's where the players stayed. The teams did not stay there. So teams are coming into, there's an underneath parking garage, and there's only one tiny little elevator that goes from the parking garage to the main floor of the Mobile Convention Center. And when you go in there for media day, I got in the elevator and I looked over and I saw they had the schedule printed for the teams, the team personnel, so they would see what was coming up. It wasn't for us as the media, it was for the teams. And on there, I looked and it was like 9:30 psych evals, 10:30 personality profile eval. And these were on non-media day days. And I went, okay, so the Senior Bowl is doing full psych evals, full personality profile tests on every one of these prospects and sending them to the NFL teams. I was like, I'm not getting that. I'm credential media here. ESPN isn't getting that. None of the draft people are getting this kind of info. And it just hit me of like, oh, there's even deeper dives into these guys than we even realize. Like every player is going through psych evals, they're going through personality profile, because when you're at the NFL level, that 1% makes a difference. That is the difference between a guy being a big time draft pick and a fall away. So when I say that, there was a process with Kalen Black that went through with all the NFL teams that the consensus board was not privy to. Talking about interviews with his Indiana coach Signetti, with their strength and conditioning staff, with everything that happened in the interviews. And as far as John Lynch has said, he absolutely blew them away in the interviews. That meant they knew he was going to do that with everybody else. So there is info that like these teams were getting on him that the consensus board did not have. And so when we say they could have gotten him in the 4th round, we do not know that. There is no way to know that for certain, because the reason they picked him in the 3rd round wasn't based upon stuff that we could all see on the surface level. It was stuff like that told them there was a reason for this pick. And so that's where we have to take a step back. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not like he ran a 4.7, like
right.
It's not like he was a bad player. It's just funny to me that people are treating him like, he wasn't even going to get drafted because he wasn't invited to the combine. It's like, okay, calm down. I think it wouldn't be as big a deal if the 49ers didn't love to pick running backs in the 3rd round that haven't worked out. But again, you go on your evaluation this year. I said it during the draft at the time. Trey Sermon doesn't affect Kalen Black. Ty Davis-Price doesn't make Kalen Black run slower or make him worse at breaking tackles. I know it's frustrating because they've done this multiple years, but maybe this is the year they get it right. We will break it down next week for you here on the show like we do every single Thursday. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. It makes a big difference for us. If you could do it, it costs you nothing. Also, subscribe to the Johnny Dale Football Academy. That has film breakdowns way more than we do. We do once a week. Johnny, you are knee deep in this stuff all the time. Just search Johnny Dale Football Academy on YouTube. It comes up. Subscribe, and you will have all the film. It is a football nerd's paradise. So thank you, Johnny, for this incredibly deep dive today.
Yes, and I got this ready to go for Romello Height. I'm going to have it ready to go for Kalen Black, because these are two guys. Like, I've watched these first 3 picks, and I'm like, dang, I really like all these guys. And I'm going to have Senior Bowl stuff on Romello Height, because I went back and watched every one of his one-on-one D-line drills. I watched every one of his individual D-line drills. I watched every snap he took at the Senior Bowl practices. I watched every snap he took at Texas Tech. I went back and watched some of his Georgia Tech film. I've already gotten through that. I did the same thing with Kalen Black. I've watched through 8 of his games at Indiana. I will tell you, these are 3 picks that we should be really excited about, and I don't understand the negativity around it. When you watch the film on these kids, you go, man, there's a lot to like here. I just don't understand, because none of the negativity says, here's a clip of film and here's why we should be concerned about him. I see nothing of that. And that's what's frustrating to me.
You are a not well-adjusted, deeply disturbed individual, Johnny, and I'm here for it. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody.